$50.
No, I mean, like, we can talk separately of
Okay.
sending money with the kids so they're covered
Oh,
from a parenting standpoint, but.
we don't necessarily give them petty cash to go spend.
The parents do.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think Sean wants his credit card used.
I'm absolutely broke right now.
They are going to have one nice meal at Fishbone, that Mr. Sackles is going to be footing the bill for them. So they will have one nice meal that they're being supplied with, but then the rest are covered by the competition and the hotel.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? All right, seeing no one, will bring the discussion back to the table and entertain a motion on action item number 1.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Anderson DECA trip to state competition as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Sage. Okay. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Action item 2, approval of the cosmetology students' trip to Chicago.
So this is a return to Chicago for this class. This last year was the first year that they took the trip to the American Beauty Show, and it was a wonderful event for the two students that went last year. This is a Riverview High School sponsored course. The Riverview School of Beauty is where they take their class daily, and their teacher there is chaperoning and taking their group of students. So we, this year, have 3 students, Naja Banks, Emily Panage, and Jaden Pope, that are going to be hopefully traveling to Chicago and going to this conference and learning a lot about the field, networking. There was also competitions involved in this too, but it's great exposure for them to learn and get more information about the field that they plan to go into.
Any questions for staff? No parents going on this field trip, right? We don't send
Parents going
parents
on
to
this one.
Chicago anymore, right?
No?
Anybody who's been here a while will get that joke. All right, seeing no questions for staff, we'll bring the discussion back to the table and entertain a motion on action item number 2.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the cosmetology students' trip to Chicago as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. All right, action item number 3 is approval of the Medtronic purchase of updated Amatrol learning system, is that right?
Yep, the mechatronics program is looking to upgrade their Amatrol learning system, which is a electrical learning tool. They learn about circuits, they learn about AC/DC, not the band, but the electrical components that go in that. And it's a way for them to experiment and work with how different circuit boards work and finding errors that come up and being able to problem solve to work out those errors to make sure that their current flows are working correctly and give them the experience that they need to be able to work with electronics effectively and with greater knowledge base.
Is this actual, like, supplies, like an actual kit thing, or is it a
Yep.
program?
It's a whole kit with a program.
Oh, with the program, okay.
Yep, so they work it, they test it out, they hit a button, the button says red or green, like you did it or you didn't do it. All right, figure out what's wrong, and it is hooked up to a computer system that will give them lessons and tell them, not tell them, but work with them to try to problem solve those situations.
This is all housed at our Gibraltar
At Flat Rock
Flat Rock
Assembly Plant. Yep.
Gibraltar plant, okay. Gibraltar Road, I get, that's
Yes.
Gibraltar in my head. Any questions?
If it comes in a kit, how many kits? Is there? Like,
It's one kit. It's kind of a large panel board that they take wires, connect here to here. Oh, that's not right. Here to here, and use different circuits to see whether those are working correctly. So it's a whole learning
board?
Kit, it's a board, but yeah, it all comes in a kit that comes in a big box, yeah.
Is it one person at a time, or how many people on one board?
Usually they're working in pairs. They work and collaborate together to problem solve, but yeah, it's not gonna be a whole class working at a time. But the setup of that class is very much an independent learning situation where they go home every night, they do their homework and learn about what they need to do, and then they come and they work on the tools and apply those things. And they're not all working on the same thing at the same time. They have to show mastery of whatever they're doing to be able to move on to the next one. So every person kind of works at a different pace, so they're, that it doesn't need to be used by the entire class at one time.
So I'm trying to get a picture of what it looks like, because for the price, it's gotta be a big system. Is it a big box, or?
Yeah, I mean, fits on a table, but it's probably 4 feet by 4 feet. And it's connected to the computer that can diagnose whether they're doing things correctly or not. And this is going to be purchased through their added cost funds that are state granted.
Okay.
So it's not costing the district anything. It's coming from the mechatronics budget.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? All right. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on action item number 3.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Megatronic purchase of an updated Amatrol learning system as presented for a total cost not to exceed $14,437.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Pomponio, is there support? Support. Supported by Mr. Sage. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is approval of the concrete replacement at Allen. Mr. Hardy's got this one.
That's better.
Good evening.
Hello.
Jason Hardy, Director of Operations, Southgate Community Schools. Tonight, I bring in front of you the board recommendation to replace the concrete walkway at Allen Elementary School. We're looking at replacing the main entrance walk, the sidewalk, the main entrance to the front door, the cement around the flagpole, and also adding curb around the trees. So the planter that's there will be removed. Take the planter away, and we're gonna put brand-new concrete all the way up to the front entrance. I attached a picture of area of work that we're proposing to do. We have a 5-year bid with Royal Cement. They bid this out 5 years ago, so their pricings are locked in still this year. After this year, we'll have to go out for new pricing. But if I attach the estimate from Royal Cement, so it's our recommendation the board approve Royal Cement's estimate and contingency for the total not to exceed $47,329.50 to come from the bond. The work would be done this summer after school lets out. We'd take the front entrance out and put new concrete in. Any questions?
So where you have it blocked off with blue, that's all gonna be not grass, but concrete?
Brand new concrete. The planter will go away. We're not gonna touch the asphalt dry, but everything else that is concrete all the way up will be replaced. The concrete has cracks. There needs some minor repairs. At the front entrance stoop, there's a mat covering some trip hazards currently. The planter, we're gonna do away with that and make it more of a main entrance. Welcome to our school, brand new concrete. And also keep the trees if we can. Put some rings so the trees can still grow and not as much bed around them.
Okay, thank you.
Is that common, given a quote for 5 years?
We bid it out as an RFP, so we can go out and do this again. So we've used the Royal across the district to replace concrete. It was before my time, but their pricing holds true, and I verified that the pricing that they gave us is in line with the price they gave us.
Okay.
So it's good for the district, so if costs of concrete and trucking goes up, we're not held to that. Because Now, there's escalation. Every year it gets a little bit more expensive, but,
I think it would be
covered.
much more without the locked-in pricing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I think without the locked-in pricing, this would have come in a little bit higher.
Yes, yes, it would.
Yeah, that's why I
Oh,
probably
yeah.
get it done.
Yeah. Are we putting any bollards in there? So this is the welcome to our school, but not welcome to drive up to our school door?
I can, yes, I can look at putting bollards.
Something that just stops people from driving right up to the door that I see.
I'm hoping the trees, we're gonna keep the trees and like,
I would have thought the fact that it was a door and not a parking spot would do that, but I'd be wrong.
yeah, I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, just something to keep people from
Okay,
getting that close to a nice big spread of concrete like that. Looks nice to drive a car on, and
it does.
people like to.
Especially delivery.
Oh, deliveries or nighttime janitors or anybody who,
Contractors,
contractors, is right up to the door.
yep. I'll look at adding some bollards.
Something
Well,
that just
but there
stops people
is-
from doing that.
There is an asphalt drive immediately to the left of that.
Correct.
So I don't know that Allen's walkway has gotten a ton of traffic that way. But
No, the big planter there kind of slows people down, but we're gonna open that space up
does.
quite a bit when we add the concrete.
okay.
It's just, yeah, deliveries, they just decide that, I don't want to have to walk 80 feet or 60 feet. I'd rather pull it right up to the door.
I
And
understand.
then they do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if bollards are the answer or something, but this is only 4-inch concrete. It's not meant to, be driving through there. That's,
4 inch on the sidewalk, correct.
yeah,
If we were putting a drive-in, it'd be 6 inch or
6,
greater. Yep.
okay. That's still, Sean.
I just got one thing about the trees. How many trees are like?
There's 4 trees currently. I'm not sure though if because the mulch is so high up on the tree with the
Right.
planter, I'm not sure until we get the mulch out if the trees are gonna make it. They could be rotted out because we're too much around the tree, too high.
Right.
It could be soft, so if we need to, we're looking at putting some newer trees in, but I'd like to save what's there if we can. So until we get the planter and the mulch out and we actually get to the base of the tree, I'm not sure.
But the concrete the trees would be in that same region?
So what we're doing, yes, what we're doing is, they're gonna make a circle and then keep it soil and some mulch, so the tree has a place to grow. And it's gonna be big enough, it's like a 4 foot, it's gonna be big enough that the trees can grow up in that space without, the concrete getting affected. So we don't want the roots destroying all the concrete either, right?
Well, that's kind of that's what.
So we don't want to put anything that's gonna grow 30 feet tall. There's some
Right.
ornamental trees, kind of what's there now,
Okay.
you know.
I can't picture what's there, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was my concern.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we'll bring the discussion back to table and entertain a motion on action item number 4.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the concrete replacement at Allen as presented for a total cost not to exceed $47,329.50.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Ms. Angel. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next is approval of the Davidson Middle School elevator power unit.
Yeah, so the freight elevator at Davidson, we have 2 elevators at Davidson Middle School, the passenger elevator and the freight elevator. The freight elevator goes from receiving down to the basement. That elevator is from 1958. The elevator currently has been down since January 31st because they've been looking for parts to repair the elevator and having a hard time finding them because of the age of the elevator. So that it's original to the building. Kone Elevator Service is, they service all of our elevators in the district. We have a maintenance program with them. And they've provided a quote to get the elevator back up and running. Now, what's stored down in Davidson basement currently is the copy paper for the district. We have equipment down there, filters, so we've been carrying boxes of paper up as needed, to supply the schools. So we do use the elevator quite a bit for storage, currently. Most elevators are updated about every 20 so years, and we've got 66 years out of this elevator. so with some minor repairs. I've attached the proposed work to furnish and install a new hydraulic power unit. Motor and pump will be submersed in oil, control valves, safety check valves. I won't read all this. The permits and inspection as required by the State of Michigan Elevator Safety Division is all included in this. If we choose at a later date to modernize the rest of the elevator, the new hydraulic power unit can be reused. So it's not buy it now and replace it later. So this is good for the life of the elevator. So it's our recommendation, the Board of Education approve Kone to furnish and install the new hydraulic power unit in the freight elevator for the amount of $39,947. And I put a contingency of $3,994.70 for a total cost of $43,931.70. And this will come from the sinking fund. We can use the sinking fund to repair the elevator. It's an approved cost. Questions?
I have a question. So with it being 66 years old, is it inspected on a regular basis?
Yes, it is. I actually, Kone, I met with them today, and they're giving us a cost to upgrade the whole elevator, but it takes a year to get the parts. So if we want the elevator up and back in service, we're gonna put this money into it now, but later, if we decide to upgrade the rest, this will work with the rest.
So who inspects the elevators and how often is that done?
The Kone Elevator does our inspections for us, and that's part of the maintenance program. So they do it, let me think. Every 3 months they inspect it, but then they go through, the state has to come every year. There's a license
Okay.
that hangs in the elevator, so the state of Michigan also inspects it. If we have issues, Kone's the one we call out, and they keep a log, and it's in the elevator room, and it says what's been done since last time, the state of Michigan was out, so it's all record keeping.
Okay, I was just curious because of it being that old and not
Yes.
updated, I would be concerned with safety issues. If anything were to happen, would they be able to access it and?
Sure,
fix it?
sure. So there's phones in the elevator. We're all in compliance with all of that per the state of Michigan, and they come out and keep it serviced.
Thank you.
Change the oil in the pumps and all of that as well.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, bring the discussion back to the table and entertain a motion on action item number 5.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of the DMS elevator power unit as presented for total cost not to exceed $43,931.70.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Pomponio, is there support?
Support.
Mr. Lamas? Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Next is the approval of fencing for the GSRP playground at North Point.
So not too long ago, we installed the little playground at North Point, and we'd like to fence that in, so we keep the little kids inside the playground area. I have 2 proposals, one from Brady's Fence Company and one from Industrial Fence. They've both done work here in Southgate for us on a number of projects. Brady's Fence came in lower at $6,050. We're also putting, their quote includes 4-foot fence with 2 walk gates, so the fence will come to the building and you can still walk through. And it's also a mowing gate, so we can get our mowers into the playground and maintain it. So it is our recommendation the Board of Education approve Brady's Fence with contingency of $1,000 for a total of $7,050, and this will come from bond costs.
Any questions for staff?
Just one, any of the building doors exit directly into the fenced-in space, or they go out the door, go down the sidewalk, and then go in?
There's 2 doors that would go into the fenced-in area,
Oh,
and that's
directly
why.
from the building?
Yes.
All right.
One from a classroom and one from a hallway, and that's the door they use to access the playground in and out. It's got a card reader on that door for,
Thank you.
Yep.
that price include the permits?
Yes.
Okay.
It's similar to what we did at shelters, just a little bit smaller scale.
Shouldn't be any permits for a fence.
Right. We'll have the, not a permit, but we'll have the, mist dig out to make sure that they don't drive
Right,
any
that's
posts
it.
into, so that's all included.
Okay, thank you.
Cut this thing in half. These are just little kids, right? We could've went like 2 feet high or something.
Getting a bargain.
Yeah.
They are littles, yes.
Get some, yeah, in case we get some tall growers or something in there.
That's why only 4 feet, only a 6-foot chain
Oh,
link
yeah.
fence.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll bring the discussion back to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 6.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the fencing for the GSRP playground at North Point as presented for a total cost not to exceed $7,050.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Pomponi, is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Number 7, approval of the new heat pumps for Asher.
You just took the lead. I'm keeping score. 4-3.
I got a couple more.
I know. I think you're winning. You're winning.
Yes, so the heat pumps at Asher, the pumps are, the existing pumps there are 20 years old, and we were looking at rebuilding the pumps, the bearings, the housing, and because the pumps are so old, it was hard to find the parts. The cost to rebuild the pumps was $11,313.90. In lieu of rebuilding the pumps, a new pump costs $12,236, and that's for a pair of them, so a difference of $922.10. I've attached both quotes from R.L. Detman. They're the pump supplier that we use in the district. If you go get them, these pumps somewhere else, they're probably gonna get them from Detman and put their cost on it, so we buy them direct from R.L. Detman. It's our recommendation the board approves the purchase of the 2 new pumps in the amount of $12,236 to come from the bond fund. We are doing the install, removing and installing the pumps, the maintenance team.
Any questions?
I think this is more to you. So the whole thing with Asher, like what we're doing with, the alternative programs and this and that, and moving back and forth and what we're doing. And I know there was different discussion back and forth, and it just seems, I'm not where exactly we're at with this, but we had discussed previously, like, how much money are we putting into Asher depending on what our future use is for it. So, I mean, my question would be, our plans, and I don't want any details of where we're at, because I know we have different ideas for it, so I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole. But are our plans for Asher to the point where, it's 8,000 here, it's 10,000 there, it's 12,000 here? Are we sinking money into something that's gonna be obsolete in 2 years, or where are we at with this? Because I don't wanna throw money away for something that we might not be utilizing to the capacity.
Right, so Asher will likely be there at least next year as well, and these have to be replaced. So we either pick new ones or we repair them, but we don't have the luxury of just deciding not to do anything in this situation. So because we will have students in the building, we'll have to get this one way or the other repaired, even if it's just for 1 year.
Okay.
So whatever we do after that 1 year, I think those are going to be decisions as they come up, but we will need these working
Okay.
for the
That's
kids
fair.
next year.
That makes me more comfortable saying yes.
I think you still have to protect a building anyway with heat, because I mean,
That's true.
the way to make a building fall apart is to not heat it,
Right, and we would,
not if we're gonna tear it down.
we would at a minimum use it for storage purposes, which would also need
Okay.
that.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? All right, seeing none, I'll bring the discussion back to the table and entertain a motion on action item number 7.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the new heat pumps for Asher as presented for a total cost not to exceed $12,236.
Okay, have a motion from Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Green. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Action item number 8, approval of the technology box truck price increase.
Pulling away, dude.
So originally, the box truck was before the board on April 22nd, 2022. So it's been 2 years to build this truck with the backlog on the chassis and the lift gates and all of that. So during that time, the cost of the chassis increased. Now, Ford does not protect the cost of the vehicle going up anymore, my understanding. And in order to purchase this vehicle today, which it's ready, we need to ask for an additional $5,000 to be approved, bringing the new total purchase price to $66,850. Upon approval, the vehicle is ready for immediate delivery, and I've attached the April 22nd board memo to the back for the original approval when that took place. So our recommendation, the Board of Education approve the $5,000 increase toward the purchase of a new technology box truck, and the additional money will come from the maintenance enhancement.
Any questions?
I have a
Dr. Pomponio?
question. So absolutely, I agree with that, because I remember when we first ordered it, but when you sign the contract, when you have it built, don't you lock in that price with the chassis?
I tried to push back, and I said, I got another district waiting to take
Oh,
this
okay.
truck if you don't want it, so
wanna
take
give
it or
it-
leave
Yeah, they
it.
weren't worried about it.
Okay.
That was the answer I got. I tried to say, hey, we buy a lot of vehicles from you, so, but it was originally 7,000, they came down 2, and we're asking for 5. So
Okay.
they met me some way,
Well, that's good.
part of the way.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they got somebody who's not gonna wait 2 years. They'll just
Right.
get one right now.
Right.
Any questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, bring the discussion back to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 8.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the technology box truck price increase as presented for a total cost not to exceed $66,850.
Okay, I have a motion from Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Lamas. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, number 9, approval of the Helen Street Sewage Expansion Project Contract Award.
I'm gonna bring some help up
Oh.
with this one.
You only get a half a point.
I was gonna say,
Take
you
a
only
half
get
a
half, you only get half credit.
Good evening, Gary County Plant Moran Real Point to discuss the contract award recommendation for the Helen Street Sanitary Sewer Extension Project. In December of 2023, the district requested the help from Plant Moran Real Point to assist with this RFP process for the sanitary sewer extension project over next to Ford Line for the 8 new houses that are being proposed over there. Over the next couple months, the steering committee, which included the district, Plant Moran Real Point, and Hennessy Engineers, developed the scope and the bid documents for this project. In February of 2024, the RFP and construction documents were provided by Hennessy Engineers and were formally issued and made available to the contractors. On February 23rd, sealed bid proposals were received from 4 contractors and publicly opened. One of the contractors didn't complete the bid documents. There weren't bid bonds or other documents that were required per the RFP, so they were disqualified. But the 3 other contractors were vetted, and upon completion of the post-bid scope review meetings, the steering committee is recommending Sole Contracting to be the awarded contractor for the project. In the post-bid meetings, they did note that they had a history with Hennessy Engineers going pretty far back, and their bid price was $119,119. We're also recommending a project contingency amount of $30,000 for any unforeseen conditions. Being the nature of this project, we don't know what's existing in that field. Any unused contingency dollars will obviously be returned to the district upon completion of the project. Attached to the award recommendation, you'll see a evaluation summary of the 3 proposals that were complete. Just to note, obviously, there's a large difference between the low and the high contractors. The 3rd or the 4th contractor that was incomplete was closer to the low contractor's pricing. It was actually right in the middle between the low 2, which made us more comfortable with the pricing of the two that were evaluated in the low. Following that, you'll see the bid documents that were provided by Hennessy Engineers. They removed themselves from the RFP process just because they are the city's reviewer for storm and sanitary and civil engineering work. But they were heavily involved in the whole design process of this project. Any questions? Schedule-wise, they're anticipated to start fairly quickly. You actually see a breakdown in the bid summary tabulation. They expect probably about 30 days to complete the project. Lead time for materials is 7 days, and they can get started sooner than later, which I know was the interest of the district, because we want to use it as a learning opportunity for students to observe and see what's going on out in the construction site.
Any questions?
Do we have our team coordinated so the kids can look, see and watch this materialize and happen, and then?
As far as our Ford Line students or our Anderson
No,
students?
our Anderson students that are gonna eventually be.
Yeah, so our new construction trades teacher has taken quite a bit of leadership in this. And so he's been engaged in every step of this. It was really, I think, to his credit that this finally passed the finish line and got us where we need to start. They've also created a whole timeline of when house projects will start rolling out. The pieces of the house, the summer, the foundation will be laid. In the fall, it's going to be framed out. It's going to be a 2-year process, so they are prepared to have their students involved in the process and have basically designed that out, how they're going to be involved.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge differentiator for our district. I mean, what an opportunity, like IB and a few of the other things that DECA students are doing. I mean, this is a huge deal. I mean, this would be meaningful in kids' lives.
Definitely.
This is so exciting. Glad to hear about this. Thank you.
Any other questions? Is this a combination sewer that they're doing there?
I believe so.
So it's gonna be the sanitary, but it's also gonna have drainage probably set up to.
Correct, yep.
catch both.
For storm, yeah.
And then it runs back out to
Helen Street.
Helen.
Yep.
Okay. And that'll give us 8 buildable lots,
Correct.
where
yes.
right now we have lawn maintenance to do.
Yeah, it's going right down the center,
Right.
so that we can tie in as each house is built. Goes right down the center of the property.
Yeah, so we'll have 4 on Ford Line, 4 on Helen, right?
Yep.
Outstanding. Okay. All right, bring the discussion back to the table and entertain a motion on action item number 9.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Helen Street Sewage Expansion Project contract as presented for a total cost not to exceed $149,119.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support? Support. Supported by Ms. Green. Any discussion? I'll kick in just because I was kind of involved in this in the beginning. This is a little more complicated, that we have to run this and down. We can't just tie into the lines that are there because of the grade of the existing sewer, just so everybody knows that this was necessary to do this. Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Item number 10, the approval of the PA 10 millage exception resolution.
Yes, on February 13th, PA 10 returned prevailing wage requirements for construction projects, but there are some exemptions and exceptions. If contracts were fully awarded, that has already been in place, we're good. So any project that's been approved prior to February 13th, there's nothing required from that. If there are projects planned after February 13th, but they involve a millage that was passed prior to February 13th, so our 2020 bond, Series 1, Series 2, and sinking fund. All of those are exempted from that. But there is a caveat in the law that our Troon law firm has requested districts to work around, which is the legislators, or the legislation itself speaks about money coming directly from a millage. And the details around millages and bonds are that they go from millage to a bond service, debt service, so they're purchased. So although they don't believe that legislators meant that, it's a nuance of the language that they've asked everyone to protect themselves from. So as long as we have, in part, all of our projects moving forward covered by some of our either general operating millage funds, which is our general funds, or our sinking millage, which is directly, and there's no debt service involved, every contract will have to have a portion of that funded by those monies. So in order to make that happen, they are asking for school boards to designate an amount of money to a particular account that will be protected for that purpose. Moving forward, we're going to move in $50,000 for that purpose. And as awards come in, Plant Moran will also designate in their award package which part of this will come from that dedicated fund, so that we're covered in that, and we're able to move forward with our bond plans as budgeted and as predicted. So that's what's there, but it does need to be a resolution that the board designates that for that purpose. So by approving this, you are approving the legal language that makes that possible.
So the technicality of this language, does it give us a percentage of what we have to use on it?
No.
Put 50 cents in
No.
it?
Well,
I'm just being a smart aleck, but I'm
no, well,
just,
Trun
I'm
said
making
a
a
dollar,
point.
even if it's a dollar.
It's a dollar, right, so
But we-
honestly, if it's minimal, there's no percent, it's
Right.
not tied on a $100,000 project, we use a
That's
percentage
correct.
of this.
That's correct.
So
But
if
we're
we
not
meet the
gonna-
nuance of the law by putting
Right.
$20 in it, we're good.
That is true. I mean, we're probably going to work in increments of about
I get it,
thousands.
I get it, but just to understand that we don't have a percentage to keep grabbing into the general fund and this and that all of
True.
a sudden.
That's,
Okay,
that's correct.
all right, thank you.
So is the statute language, if I'm understood, that the statute language is confusing, or at least
Well,
has double meaning and.
Yeah, it was written with the intent to protect everything that had passed already to date and was already planned, and that was the intent of all of it. But the way the language was written, it can be interpreted that bonds would not, that go through a debt service would not qualify. So just to make sure, because it says partially or completely, or in full, they want all districts conservatively to protect themselves, because you wouldn't want to have to go back and pay a bunch of money back or be challenged in court and the expenses associated with that. So they feel like this is just an extra protection. They believe that the statutory language is going to be corrected soon.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, they're not gonna let this sit for a long period of time, but until that does get corrected, that they want us to do this. So this resolution will protect us in that way.
And make no mistake about it, somebody will try to figure it out if we don't.
Well, somebody paid a lot of money to put this together.
Right.
And
Yeah,
in order
there's a
to,
reason, right.
in order to make due on their money, they're gonna double down and
Right.
close up any loopholes that they see. So, any other questions for staff? All right, seeing none, bring the discussion back to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 10.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the PA 10 millage exception resolution as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio, is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Action item 11, approval of the capital improvement fund accounts.
That's me.
Ms. Wilson?
So as a result,
I gotta turn over here.
gotta turn your neck.
Yeah.
So as a result of PA 10 and the resolution that was brought to the board this evening, this is a request to open 2 new bank accounts so that we can keep the funding separate as Trun had suggested. One will be with PFM Asset Management, LLC, Michigan Liquid Asset Fund, MyLoF, entitled Capital Improvement Fund. And I'm also requesting a new bank account with Huntington Bank, which would be to cut checks or the amount to the vendor, also entitled Capital Improvement Fund. So we are required to keep this funding completely separate from our other funds, and and so we do need to have two separate accounts. The one will be used to try to get some interest.
Okay. Any questions for staff? All right. Seeing none, bring the discussion back to the table and entertain a motion on action item 11.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve capital improvement funds accounts as presented.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Ms. Angel. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Last item on a long and tedious agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
You sure? I mean,
I'll entertain a motion.
the council president's here, maybe she wants to speak to.
She had her chance. She missed it.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, a motion from Mr. Green to adjourn the meeting. Is there support? Support by Mr. Sage. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.